been focusing on how major centers have been coping with the COVID-19 pandemic, but the picture in terms of municipalities hasn't been really clear. Midvaal's local municipality mayor, Bongani Baloyi, joins me now. Bongani, good evening. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And I suppose it's important to go into this conversation noting that Midvaal is one of the better performing municipalities that we have in the country. So therefore, in terms of the impact that COVID-19 has had on the municipality, you were working off a very solid and good base. Where are you now?
Look, thank you for having me on the show. I think across the board, all municipalities have really suffered due to COVID-19, and I'm sure our residents and industry is bleeding as much as we are. The direct impact has been on the collection rate of our municipality. I think in the past 2 months, we've lost in excess of about 31 million rands. And I mean, this 31 million rands goes to all the trading services in the main water, electricity trading services, which has not been paid for, because we also had to appreciate the environment, the situation that our communities have found themselves, and therefore gave them some time for them to also come make arrangements with the municipality insofar as their accounts. So I think the worst is yet about to start, because we're also starting the new financial year in a month, which has new tariffs. And as you're starting this new financial month, normally in all municipalities, the first 3 months, the first quarter of a new financial year is your worst performing. And this is just going to add on top of the difficulty we face as municipalities. So we really had to really get financially prudent. And I mean, this situation has also affected our business continuity with a stop-start with various positive tests that we find from a COVID perspective. So really, this has really shaken the foundation that we've built the institution, but we're adapting. We're learning and coming up with new strategies and how to ensure that the business continuity continues under the challenges that we are facing.
There have been some organizations who have said that it's unconscionable that municipalities should be raising tariffs during such a time. And I wonder what the approach of your municipality is going to be to this in particular, because you're dealing with a base that chances are is facing much more unemployment than they were before, reduced salaries, and therefore an increase in rates when people are under such pressure becomes a situation where they simply aren't going to be able to meet whatever is put on the table.
All of our tariffs and in the main our trading services are cost reflective. So it means we take the cost to procure, the cost to deliver the service, to maintain the infrastructure. So it's not a thing that we just rough thumb suck and then come up with a tariff. So everything is cost reflective. So we purchase water from Rand Water. There has to be a distribution charge in that. We have to pay salaries of our employees. We have to also buy electricity from Rand Water the same. But it doesn't mean that's where we stop. It also means that we must look at new efficiencies and innovation to try and revolutionize our way we deliver services. And that's why for the electricity trading services as a municipality, we're going on a triple P concession, which has set the market ablaze with it, because it's the first in the country where a municipality seeks to engage with a third party that will manage its entire electricity infrastructure, as well as a generation of new electricity to ensure the municipality is electricity secure. So those who have complained, it's not as if there's we don't have any room to move around. We've also ensured that as we increase our budget, apart from trading services, it's from a zero base, so nothing else has grown. It's the same. So the only thing that has grown in our budget that reflects on our tariff has been the trading services, and that's because it's cost reflective.
Are your employees going to be getting a salary increase?
Our employees, I mean, we are tied to a multi-year agreement with the South African South African Bargaining Council. So until there is a contrary decision, then we'll implement the current decision that stands.
So they will be.
And it's not up to the municipality. It's not up to a municipality to determine whether municipal employees, where there's an agreement with the bargaining council at that level for us to implement, whether they don't or not. The only thing that they can do is give their individual consent as employees to say, I'll forego my salary, and that has not happened.
But what are you advocating for from the position of the municipality? Do you think that employees should still get that increase that was signed on that was part of that multi-year agreement?
I'm not in support of that, because you find the lowest of our earning employees in the municipality, and you look at what our municipal managers earn, and you find that there are obscene disparities in between the two. But what we have taken, we're appreciating that there are members of the community that are also part of the lowest earning and find themselves in that situation. They can't even afford any decent accommodation in that case. In any case, as a municipality, we are still well below the National Treasury recommendation or threshold for salaries. So we're sitting at about 23%, and we've stuck at that level for the past few years. So from our side, we've been managing responsibly, and where we're finding saving, we're doing so. As an example, where we're finding saving is my office has lost quite a lot in terms as a consequence of the COVID-19. So all the programs we had, we took from the mayor's office first to try and create that relief in that. So we're doing a lot of things as well, packaging our economic recovery plan to try and respond to all of these things, because some of these things, won't contribute to a certain extent to what we want to achieve, but it's important not to make those who are worse off even worse.
When you talk about the reprioritization of resources, what does that mean? So speak to me practically about the monies that you've had to move around in your office, what it was meant for, and how you have diverted it.
We had monies for specific programs in the mayor's office for events to stimulate tourism in the area and partner with various stakeholders. Now that has moved and has been reallocated. Fortunately, our capex budget was geared towards our bulk infrastructure such as water, electricity and sanitation. So not much has moved there. There's been a sizable move from the roads towards your water infrastructure and electricity infrastructure. So in my office, significantly has been the work that we do to lobby and advocate and ensure that we bring in tourists and business people in the office, and that has been reallocated towards the COVID relief. So if you look at what we've spent on our sanitizers, sanitization of the buildings, protective wear, pretty much of it, the bulk of it has come from the political offices where even the traveling has been suspended. So we can also put in our budget to contribute to those that. So we also did that consciously knowing that when a situation like this arises, there tends to be elements who want to abuse and steal, quite frankly. And that's why we have to ensure that we allocate from political offices, isolate that, and build from there, and not allow user departments to procure on their own.
The President had spoken about a 20 billion rand allocation that had been set aside for municipalities. I wonder if you were one of those that was up for a share, and if indeed you have received those monies.
None of that has been received. Well, there's a few contestations up around what the President has said. I think in his pronouncement was that the 20 billion rands would be used directly to COVID initiatives for water, education, etc., etc. The problem that arises when you do that is that, one, there's been a significant loss of revenue of municipalities. In our case, already at this point, we've lost 31 million rands that we're trying to recover. And many other municipalities have lost even more amounts. So if you're going to take that amount to build, to use it towards COVID-related water activities, electricity activities, so you increase the expenditure for municipalities through a grant, and there won't be any linked assistance or another grant to assist with the maintenance of those. So we are appealing to the President to reconsider and to ensure that the allocation to local government also covers the working capital of the municipalities and the losses that we have suffered. And yes, I still agree with the points they made that we still need to continue with our revenue collection and not abandon it and use the relief that he has put aside to municipalities as the excuse. So we have not received a cent till this day. And how many months are we in this national disaster? And the only portion that we received was from the national disaster fee, a fund rather that was set up. And from there, we put in a business plan of about 14 million rands and got 700,000 rand. Other municipalities got 23,000, 21,000, 30,000. So which was not nearly enough for what they needed at the time.
All right. Well,